All right, welcome back. You're tuning in to the Adapt AI podcast spotlight series, where we feature the change makers and disruptors shaping the future of business and where we learn how industry leaders stay ahead of the game. Want to stay ahead too? Go ahead and click the subscribe button so you'll never miss an episode. I'm your host, Haley, and today our guest is a leader whose core philosophy is built on being mission driven. Maureen, it's a pleasure. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Ellie, thank you so much for having me today. I'm very happy to be here, and I hope that we can at least help one or two people that watching it. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for accepting our invitation. So, just to get started, can you just tell us a little bit about your journey as an entrepreneur and the personal mission that drives you?
Okay, so my name is Maureen, COO and co-founder of Rebelia Platform. We are a subscription management platform that really redefine the arena of subscription. Our expertise to take those boring one-size-fits-all subscription plan and turn them into adjustable, flexible, and customer-centric opportunity. The urgent, the personal needs came from our own frustration
Mm,
as founders, and we are a few founders. We all came from the arena of e-commerce, retail, at some point even consumer good, and
mm,
other arenas. When we notice how hard it is to reduce cost acquisition and to acquire a client.
mm,
And with that being said, to maintain LTV and future reference. We have
mm,
tried some other or general subscription platforms
mhm,
and really find the urgent the need to redefine this whole arena more, just something that's more trick to nowadays customers and the on-demand generation when everybody wants exactly what they want right here and right now.
right.
And that's where we came up with Rebelia, a solution that really help you to um, be more flexible, understand your client, and serve well enough the customer-centric clients that come in towards your way.
Wow. So, I like how your co-founders turned like your general frustration or your mutual frustration into the business that you have now as Rebelia. I would love to understand as well, or for our listeners too, like what were the common challenges that you encountered building Rebelia, knowing that you have that mutual frustration that you've shared with your co-founders when it comes to servicing your customers and retaining that LTV as you mentioned.
So challenges are right something that comes along the way for any entrepreneur in general.
Mhm,
This journey is for sure not an easy one.
mhm,
You starting with a good idea, right? And that's where you learn that good idea is far away from being enough. And there's so much to think of, all the way from funds and
mhm,
legal, finding the right partners, hiring people. Then you find out around it there's some operation, and around technology there's some operation.
mhm,
So many obstacles around along the way. I
mhm,
think especially a lot of the time the challenge for me and for other entrepreneurs at first is when everyone tell you your idea is good idea, but probably not going to succeed. And I think that that's something for any entrepreneur to know. The first things that people will do is they, with really the urge of taking care of you, will let you know that this is doesn't seem as easy as you mention it, and
right.
sometimes you're way more passionate. And I think the more close people are to you, the more they will try to let you know this is not you're taking too much upon yourself, or you're
Mhm,
trying to save the earth, or you're
mhm,
trying to bring something that is not there yet, and there's maybe a reason that is not there yet, or
mhm,
why do you need to take upon you something so hard?
right.
So I think those are the first challenges that any entrepreneur um, view. And I
Right.
think it's always a good idea to really listen, ask yourself a lot of questions, but then probably choose to go for it if that's the right thing for you. And of course, all those challenges that people mention really coming into place
Yeah.
on the day to day, and they never stop, right? Acquiring clients, maneuver on your product on a
Mhm.
daily basis, get used to new things, hire people, each and every component,
Yeah.
every solution, every new client, every new integration bring you new challenges that you have to overcome. So it's endless in a way.
Yeah, yeah. Before we talked about like the technical stuff of the, building a business as well. I liked how you shared that frustration or that main obstacle that most, if not all, startup entrepreneurs would be facing is listening to the right voice, whether it's the voice within or someone who may already have walked that same path. Because, as you mentioned, even the people closest to you, sometimes their friends, closest friends, and family would discourage you to not go for that vision that you actually have. I've heard and watched some other leaders would say, take in information from, listen to the people around you, but also like there are some who would say, if that's really what you're passionate about, burn that bridge so that you have no option to give up at all. You proceed with that. So can you share about your personal journey on that, how you overcome that particular challenge when people around you are discouraging you in pursuing that vision that you have?
Well, I will tell you that I'm paired with other entrepreneurs, right? Other co-founders. That one of them in specific, our CEO, Sneo Ridan, um, is very um, is 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 very brave, I would say, and very overcoming in a lot of the situation. And he really the one that taught me
Mm-hmm.
how to listen to the voices, take everything of what they say out of consideration, and see how
Mm-hmm.
to overcome. Right, but again, entrepreneurship is really a game of dare, a game of um, empowering yourself and overcome those voices, but in a good way. I think that every advice along the way that
Mm-hmm.
someone gave me came from the bottom of their heart. I never had a situation when someone tell me you shouldn't do it because they haven't care about what
Right.
I want to accomplish. They
Right.
wanted to help me and show me the way and show me the obstacles. And I think what really helped us to overcome those obstacles is
Mm-hmm.
by listening,
Mm-hmm.
understanding, try to overcome, take under consideration that some of the tricky points will be there,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and just handle them. You handle things on your day to day where you are an entrepreneur, and that's okay. And that's okay to really not be where, as long as you're making movements, small movements from day to day. Wake up in the morning and you look at yesterday and you had some success
Yeah.
and you had some failures. You know that you are at least if not in a great place, you are in a good place, right? So
Right.
um, I think that through entrepreneurship, I learned that every day I have the highest high and the lowest low. And I can give you example about days that small, big things happens to you. And then
Uh-huh.
on the other end, really big, not so pleasant things happen to you. I remember one day that probably we acquired one of our biggest client.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we made a big change. And on the same day, um, I opened right after this conversation. I opened my email and got an email from one of our main engineers that a big company acquired his abilities and he will be no longer working with us. So now we have a client in place, and I'm talking about back in the days. But
Right.
now
Right.
we have a huge client in place, and we don't have an engineer, and that was at first it was shocking, but everything turns well at some point, right? That's push you to
Mm-hmm.
go and look for resources, understand
Mm-hmm.
what need to do next? And that's brought me to the team that I have today. So it's really entrepreneurship, really intriguing you, whether if you want it or not.
Right.
Handle a lot of failures, to handle a lot of obstacles, and rethink every day. You have to rethink, which is, I think that's what, especially with technology, when everything's changing so much,
Yes.
you need to change with the world, whether you like it or not. So
Right. It's part of entrepreneurship. I totally agree with that. And just to just share a little bit about what you said about failure, because it's part of in any types of business, whether you're starting or even you're already a big conglomerate, you would still encounter failures. And I love this quote from Sarah Blakely, the CEO and founder of Spanx. One of the things that she learned growing up from her father is that when they were sharing dinner at the table, her father would always ask her and her brother, "What did you fail on today?" Because then that means that they tried something new. So that has helped her and her brother looked into like challenges as trying on something new, and just tying it back to what you said, move because you might not be in the place where you wanted to be, but you're not in the same position as you were before because you tried something else. So I really resonate with that message that you said. And speaking of obstacles, that big, let's just talk a little bit about that example you shared with us, about that big challenge or obstacle that came your way during, I don't know if it was like in the too far past in Rebelia or something a little bit in the middle. But like for entrepreneurs listening, whether they're startup or who may have like they need to put out a fire, like on that day you weren't even expecting it, what do they need to prioritize when it comes to handling those kinds of obstacles? What needs to be addressed first? What's your insight on that?
well, first of all, thank you for teaching me something new. I loved what you just shared about the CEO of Spanx. Love that. And I think that the first thing that, when you mention what you just mentioned, it's brought to my attention that I'm just ready for fire. I know that my day will be
Mm.
fire, right? And it's clicked on me what you just said, because I don't think a lot of my friends that are not in the same shoes, they don't get it, and I don't
Mm.
even explain.
Mm.
Um, they do notice I'm always busy, I'm always on the roll, I'm always, though, taking upon me more things, more volunteering, more community,
Right.
more responsibilities, and yet I'm always so busy, and always have to cut corners in so many things that are not important, and
Yeah.
really
Mm-hmm.
think of the 20% that brings the 80%. I think you experience that as well, because when you try to kind of have a conversation with me about this coming up podcast, I'm like, let's go, let's go. I know what we need to do. Let's just
Yes.
talk about it. I don't need to talk about it, talking about it. I
Right.
just don't have time to spare.
Yeah.
I'm all about, and I think that's a big thing for entrepreneurs. I'm not spending times in, I'm spending times in trying. I'm not spending a lot of time in over planning or over perfection.
Right.
I'm throwing myself out there in so many areas of my life, all the way from the personal to the business. And that's something I think that make a difference. Um, which is kind of against all odds in a way. But if
Right.
you really think of entrepreneurship versus the corporate roles, right? That's the big difference. The
Yeah.
corporate world, they planning ahead, they
Mm-hmm.
taking the time to bureaucracy. Startups don't have that time, or will get to where they should be getting if they're not gonna throw themselves out there and try different things. But we do need to think of what to try first.
Mm.
Therefore, my strategy is to aim to different tries,
Mm-hmm.
different arenas,
Mm-hmm.
but really the ones that I believe that if I take that approach, there's a
Yeah.
really, really good chance something will come out of it. Versus what I reduce on the other side is extra planning,
Yeah.
paperwork, a
Right.
lot of going around the bush to get to a mission. So,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
not sure that is totally answer your question, but definitely um, going around this conversation and bring a really good subject.
Yeah, I think that, um, I love how you mentioned that really identifying what is valuable for your time. How do you decide that though? How do you decide which is valuable just on a personal level for you? Like how do you decide which is valuable of your time, which is not? Because you said you tend to try on things differently more than just over planning. Like it seems to me you're not afraid to take that risk because entrepreneurship is a risky game and it's either making a calculated risk or like being having that willingness to fail as well. How do you determine which one you're going to delegate to another person in your business or in your community, or would you something that you would just take upon yourself as well?
Well, first of all, as per delegation, I'm trying. Um, my approach in general
Hmm.
is delegation. That's my approach. I'm all about getting the help of anything, basically,
Hmm.
both in personal and professional.
Hmm.
I think that the biggest advice, and not necessarily related to what you asked, but the biggest advice I can have for anyone that is in my shoes trying new thing, get a personal assistant, get someone that you can teach. And my goal also is to take upon people that are diamond in the rough, that I
Mm.
can teach them things, and I always want to know that I give them added value. So I have always make sure that I spend my time
Hmm.
on what's important. Now, how to decide what's important, it's a whole different story, right? It's a little bit of a gut feeling, a bit
Right.
of trust in my team. Not necessarily sitting and reading every email myself, not
Yeah.
necessarily taking every message myself, so I might be missing on some
Hmm.
opportunities.
Hmm.
However, I train my team well enough and delegate things to them. And I get them to the point that I trust them and I put a lot of guts feeling into it. I mean, in real life, you will miss plenty of opportunities. That's just life, right? So you have to, I don't really have a straightforward answer to it. I'm just trusting my gut feeling, and I do think that I have good instincts
Mm.
um, th- for people, right?
Mm.
In a way, so both for my team that walk in with me, kind of people in my space think I have some magic to
Yeah.
evaluate people, because I really surrounding myself in people that can help me. I
Hmm.
think one of the biggest ways to do it is to know what you're not so, what is not your main skill, right? What is your weakness? And I have plenty of those. And I have a lot of abilities for self-laugh. So I'm very open-minded about what is not my best skill and what I'm not really good at. And I'm very okay with delegate those forward instead of insisting to take on them.
Right.
And I'm very open minded about it, as well as very open in general to share. So the moment I work with a team member, even with a client, I would put on the table, this is not my expertise. Or I can say something like, I'm not great in details. You would do details. I'm very over um, over sewing things.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I will take, and that could be just example, but it's a real example when it's come to me. I have someone that doing a lot of the small details for me,
Hmm.
while I'm really good in taking an extra conversation, create a partnership. So in other words, I will not necessarily decide on each and every email.
Hmm.
I will answer important emails
Right.
myself,
Right.
but I might gonna take a meeting. I'm not gonna sit and decide on my calendar or
Yeah.
put it on my calendar. I let a lot of other people navigate through that.
Yeah.
I'm not taking any first conversation myself.
Right.
Um, but when it comes to what's important to me,
Yes.
I'm really good in relationship. I'm really good in partnership. So those conversation I will take myself. I will be part of them, sometimes even in each and every one of them.
Mhm.
I will make sure that I maintain a good relationship. So those are more on my skills. Now, another entrepreneur might have other skills in
Okay.
place, and they might be a bit more on their organization side. They might need and have the urge to do things themselves versus putting it on automations. So it's all depends of knowing who you are, knowing what you bring to the table, um, knowing what you really want to learn, but also knowing what you really want to skip and put aside and not
Right.
really handle yourself. And that's come also to my personal life. Always say that you will never see me preparing a meal, but I will sit and eat a meal with my kids. That will be my best way to spend quality time in the kitchen, right? But no one really want to eat my food, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't spend my time insisting of making one or cleaning myself or
Yeah.
in my email myself. I'm just really encouraging as well each and every person of my team to think what they can bring to the table and understand what they're good at, and let us know what they want, what skills they want to learn,
Mhm.
and what skills they really want to give up on and give it to someone else. You don't have to do everything yourself, especially with AI, right? There's so many things
Yeah.
that can be done externally and automatically that you almost really have the leverage to pick and choose what are you doing and what tools you put in place to overcome.
Totally agree with you. Like, especially what you mentioned earlier as well. It's important to be able to, as an entrepreneur, learn how to adapt because technology is always, especially these days, like AI is always evolving as well rapidly. If not every every day, I don't know, maybe lesser than that. And I love how you mentioned about you really understand it seems that you really understand who you are, what your core values are, what is um valuable of your time, like the little things that you think other people can do better, you just delegate that or give it to them. You're not going to be like, I know what I'm doing. I can do it all. But it's more of like just being able to build that community of people around you who may have the same, um, I see you as that big visionaire, and then you're able to just put people like where they can possibly be better at, depending on what they share with you as well. So it's a beautiful synergy. And I love that, you mentioned about you're very good at your instinct and intuitive, and that's something that I don't think a lot of um, entrepreneurs, even like female entrepreneurs, it's a gift that we do have, and I think that should be tapped on. So thank you for sharing that, because I think that's valuable to be able to not just be logical about things, but what does your gut feeling say? So I really, really love that. You did mention earlier that you're really busy with your time. Apart from Rebellia, what else are you working on as a leader in business?
Well, I'm not necessarily working on,
Oh.
but I think that I find out through with time that I'm investing my time.
Mhm.
uh, I don't take any more work, let's put it this way.
Yes.
I'm very overflow, but
Uh-huh.
um, beside from actually working on my day-to-day on Rebelia product
Right.
project,
Yes.
I'm taking a lot of community initiative. I'm participating in a lot of events. Actually, as a company, we are not so big about traditional marketing and cold emails and ads. That we are not, at least for now, not quite there.
Right.
Uh, we're doing things a bit differently. We are more about networking, more about events, and I find myself volunteering a lot within my community, um, both with adults but also with teenagers
Mhm.
that want to learn more about the tech industry and learn how to be entrepreneurs. We been participating in quite a few programs. We are located in Atlanta. We participate in quite a few programs here in Atlanta where we teach young entrepreneurs um, uh, to how to become entrepreneurs, right? And
Yeah.
what's involved into it and find their passion, as well as I'm managing a tech team here in Atlanta and participating in many networking and events, volunteering to some. And the truth is that I do a lot of it really from the bottom of my heart just to help and stay connected and be around. But I also find that um, it's end up bringing, if not business, that at least introduction or conversations.
Mm.
Um, because I also find out with time that for any young adult or a teenager or even a child that's interested in entrepreneurship, there's always an adult that's supervising him that
Uh-huh.
uh, probably work in the arena or have some connection. So but the bottom line is, as a company, whether if it's the right things to do or not, we are mainly promoting our product through networking and mainly educating in general about customer centric approach. So less direct about here's my subscription product, just
Right.
sign up for it. And organically, we've probably not meant for it to be, but it's just become a routine. Organically, we want to be part of our community. We want to educate communities in general. We want to help where we can. So organically, when you go and put yourself out there and
Yeah.
be very open to share, other people's are open to share as well, and that's end up bringing as well some meaningful conversations.
Wonderful. I wish we could prolong this because there are still so much to talk with you about. You bring so much knowledge for our audience, our growing audience. Just one last question, just to tie it all together. Why is it important for you to build this community? Not just for, like, as you said, you're doing it from the bottom of your heart. Why are you so passionate about this? And why do you think it's important for even like young adults to learn about entrepreneurship? And because you mentioned you're volunteering your time for this, knowing that you are actually busy already, but you this is something that it seems like you see as a valuable input of your time.
Well, this is not something that is important to me, I guess. It is
Mm,
more of who I am. I guess that if to put more science or psychology to it in one of those testing, when whether if you are a journalist or a specialist, I guess I
mm,
am a specialist. I
mm,
always have, I guess I have the urge to educate and help in whatever I can. So it's not something that is a part of a plan or
right.
it's just who I am. When I have knowledge, I guess I turn to be proud about it and passionate about it, and I can stop myself from talking about it or helping others. Sometimes I will reach out to educate someone about my specialty even when they're not asking for it. Sometimes it's not the smartest route to go, and sometimes it's end up as a really helpful for conversation that open another conversation. So it's not necessarily is important. It's more, or my role of plan is just end up running together with my personality, as
Right.
well as I started some of it due to my really own need to understand that the answers are not necessarily online. I mean, everything is online. ChatGPT can tell you anything today,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of other people that walked in my shoes and know way much about different things, and it's so much easier to go to a person and just ask a simple question like what kind of integration you have with that, or what is your favorite CRM and what does it do for you, what is your best, just be straightforward, what is your best approach to sell to clients, can you teach me some of it. And
Right.
I think that like like-minded people
Yeah.
also want to educate and help, and I understand that pay it forward advantage, and they very open-minded. So after some meaningful conversation, I realized many of them entrepreneurship is and creating an entrepreneurial ecosystem is not about putting your product out there or your company. It's really about learning from others
Yes.
and as well, um, and in return you put in yourself out there to teach as well, and that's kind of what create this whole environment. And that's something that I actually start from my own interest, to be part of something and to be to see if someone can be useful for me. And I find it really entertaining to see how people are very eager and willing to help, which is very encouraging. I also would tell you on the same note that you can't really know if you have a good product or a good software. The only way you really know what you worth as uh, not your self-worth, right, but what your company
Yeah.
worth, again, not from financial perspective,
Right. Right.
is by the enthusiastic that other people have when you talk about it.
Right.
So if you come along and you tell about your product, and as you notice, we've been talking for long, we have not yet talked too much about my product, but
Yeah.
if you have this connection with someone and there's interest, that's where you know um, you have something really good, and you have a market, right? If
Yes.
you see the interest, that's
Yes.
what really builds me. The amount of board of advisors that I have, the amount of young entrepreneurs I runs my help to run my company, which we have plenty of even teenager involved. The amount of people that happy to share and involve, and I have just a group of people that I can go and ask any question and they eager to help. That's what teaching me, that's what give me the drive to go. And if I actually see no interest in specific area, that's where I know and learn I need to improve both my conversation and maybe even potentially my product. So that's something important to take in mind. It's kind of like the real estate market, right? It's not about you and what you have, it's about the market, how
They
they respond
respond.
to what you have.
Right.
And
Exactly.
your community is a good reflection to your market.
Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. Are there any other takeaways that you'd like to leave our audience today for on top of what you've already shared with us generously?
Well, not necessarily on top of it, but just to summarize, prepare yourself. If you're an entrepreneur, prepare yourself to sleepless life. So just think carefully where you put your time. I would value more of putting your time towards networking and talking to people, and less putting documentation and reading, and just go and experience, use other people's experience. That's the best thing you can do. Listen to others. Some of that's gonna seem like tough criticism, and that's okay. Take what you can from it and be comfortable with what you have to offer. Of course, don't go and listen to any advice, but don't take any advice, but do listen to any advice. I
Mhm.
think that's what will serve you best as an entrepreneur.
I love that. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. So, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your passion with us on the Spotlight series today. Where can our audience find you if they want to reach out to you, be part of your community, ask for any of your advice when you have the time?
So you can reach out. First of all, our website is rebilia.com, rebillia.com. The best way to really reach out is through LinkedIn.
Mm.
My name is right there on the screen, I assume. And then you can reach out via the company LinkedIn or my personal LinkedIn. And happy to chat with everyone. I'm pretty open to always be in a conversation.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Maureen. It's been a pleasure to learn more about Maureen and Rebelia. I will definitely have the link in the show notes below. I'm your host, Haley. If this conversation helped you think differently about your business, the best way to support is to support the show is to do two things: share the episode with one colleague or a friend, and hit subscribe right now so you never miss an insight. You've been listening to the Adapt AI podcast Spotlight series. Thanks for tuning in again. Thank you, Maureen, for your time. See you again next.
Thank you.